entry 741021. Perhaps this station will hold the key to the real goals of Group 935. I still do not trust my unconventional allies, but they are of great use to me. But I digress. Who would have thought the MDT was capable of time travel? How many stations does this group have? Where did that little girl disappear to? Only time will tell what new questions await us in this theater of the damned.
All right. We're back. It's Spider Bite here with you on Kino der Toten. We're continuing our 500,000 subscriber marathon on NGTZombies. I guess it's not a continuous marathon on a day-to-day basis like I thought I wanted to do, but, I had to take a few days off. I just got kind of burned out, and I'm going to be talking about that a little bit during today's gameplay. I've split it up into 4 videos for your viewing pleasure. And Kino, man, Kino is a pretty cool map, but it's way too easy. It's a very, very easy map. Not like some of the others. I mean, you've got the Thunder Gun, you got monkeys. The Thunder Gun just makes everything easier, including Kino and Ascension, as you'll see. We got 5 in between. We got 5 tomorrow, then Ascension the next day. Five's pretty good as well. I don't mind 5, and it's a little more difficult than Kino, although it's still fairly easy, as you will see. Now, yeah, as far as taking a few days off, like I said, I just kind of got burnt out, and I haven't been sleeping very well. My sleep schedule is not great. I've been staying up till 3, 4 in the morning and getting up with the kids, and this is going to tie in it's going to tie into today's topic, if I can talk, because, I have such an amazing job here in video production and entertainment for you guys that, I'm able to be with my kids every day. Every morning, I get up with them, I eat breakfast with them, and I get them off to school. And, off the bus, when they're back from school, I get them off the bus. And it's fantastic. It's great being able to, work from home. It has its disadvantages as well, but it's great being able to work from home and being able to have that time with my kids. It's absolutely fantastic. So, here I'm just trying to maximize my points so that we can go into the main theater. I don't want to have to buy the MP40, to be honest with you. I want to be able to get out onto the stage without purchasing any weapons and maybe go for the M16, since I am going to be running the stage for the majority of Kino, and I may as well grab that M16. Beautiful, beautiful weapon, upgraded. Come on, you got to admit, this M16 upgraded is pretty damn sweet, especially with the ammo right there on the stage for you. But anyways, yeah, the topic for today for Kino is going to be about starting your own business, and that includes starting up on YouTube. I mean, it includes some other things because I was in business well before YouTube, but obviously it extends in going into YouTube. And I'll tell you about some of the things that we did way back when to sort of get known and get out there. And not that it's necessarily that applicable today. I don't think you can do some of the same things that we did back then today, but I'm still going to go through it. But really, the first part of it is, the why. Why do you want, why do you want to start a business? Why do you want to be in business for yourself, be your own boss? I mean, there are many advantages to it, but there are also many disadvantages. And I think you really need to consider why you want to do it, and then decide how you're going to do it. Exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So, for me, it was, I was in a job. I'd come out of school, and I was in a job for a couple of years doing automation, programming, control systems, manufacturing, controlling automation, assembly equipment, etc. So I'd program the machines to assemble parts, etc., right? So I worked in that for a couple of years. I went back to school for a year, and then I went back to working for the same company, a large company, doing not necessarily from a controls perspective, but more from a business management perspective. So I went back and it just, it was one of those things. I was spending my time making money for other people. I was making my money. I was getting paid to do it, of course. But all my time was spent trying to help them make more money. I mean, it doesn't matter if I made them more money, I'd still get paid the same. It's like, hey, I just made you an extra $1 million this year. Oh, that's great. Here's your monthly paycheck. You might get a bonus. I mean, there are bonus deals and structures that definitely had that you might get once a year. But even then, it was still one of those things that, okay, I don't really like this corporate life, this corporate job, and I'm going to look at doing something on my own. And I planned it for a while. It was something that I was going to go back to doing control systems and programming and do it on my own, and I ended up going off with a couple other guys to do it. Now, what I would suggest, I mean, this is one approach that I took in doing it, but I'd probably suggest doing it somewhat alternatively. So I'll sort of describe what I went through, the process I went through, and then let you know, okay, these are the things that I'd probably look at changing. So I had probably a good 4 months before I knew that I was going to leave my current job. It was just one of those things where I got hired in and was told a bunch of things, and then it just really didn't pan out, and I had to make a determination at that point in time what I was going to do, and it didn't look like I was going to continue in that job. So, but I built myself a buffer. I built myself a number of months so that I could build something up on my own and then have something to fall into once I was out of that job. Because I had gone, I was out of school for 2 years, and then I went back to school for a year, and then I was out for another year. So I had been working full time for 3 years. It's not like I had, a couple $100,000 sitting in the bank that I could just sit on for a year while I figured out what I was going to do, right? I mean, if you have that, fantastic. That's awesome for you. But I certainly didn't have that. Let's try and finish these guys off by knifing them. Double swipes, though, you got to be careful. They will double swipe you. Did I grab the M16 yet? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so I had a few months, and I went this was before Kickstarter and a bunch of other things that are available now today. I mean, the methods for creating funding for a project are so overwhelming today, and I didn't have anything near that way back when I started out. So we went the old school approach. We created a business plan, we went to the bank, we got a loan, and there were three of us that were pursuing this. So we ended up getting a bank loan, and we struggled that first year. Because I had worked for a company that was sort of in that business. I didn't really, you don't want to encroach on that business. And, employment contracts can sort of tie into that as well. Sometimes when you get hired for a job, you'll have an employment contract, and it's like there might be a non-competition clause in there where you can't compete with the company that you're currently working for. So, going into business on my own, doing sort of the similar things that the company I was working for is doing, that was sort of on the borderline. But the thing is, too, like a lot of those employment contracts that you might have, again, I don't recommend going into direct competition with your current employer when you leave, but you have to be able to make a living. I mean, I would consult a lawyer, but if you do have, if there may be an impact on an employment contract like that. But, I got to be able to make a living. Like, my previous employer can't tie my hands so much that I can't make a living, right? Even though there may be some direct competition. But usually those things never really go to court. It's used more as a scare tactic from your employer. Sometimes they do go to court, but like I said, if you do have any issues with an employment contract non-competition clause, then make sure you do consult a lawyer before you try and go into business doing something that's in direct competition with your current employer. Okay? So I did go into business for myself doing control systems with the other two guys that I mentioned, and we just developed our own customer base. We didn't encroach on on existing customers of our previous employers. We went and established our own customers. And like I said, we struggled for a year until we partnered up with a fantastic company, a machine builder that was located about an hour from my place, from where I lived. So what ended up happening was we ended up establishing offices, like an office environment within their facility, within their building, and we were doing all their controls, plus whatever else we had on the side with some additional customers. But it kept us very, very busy, and there were some pretty damn good years. We had, I think, probably about 6 guys at one point working for us at the peak when things were going really, really well, and then... But that's the thing with manufacturing. It has its business cycles. It's got its ups and downs, and they can be pretty severe. It's not like some other businesses which can sort of coast through recessionary periods and business boom periods. Manufacturing is very much tied to the general business cycle. So after that boom period, we ended up taking a big hit. We hadn't because we had been so busy. Not only ourselves, but the company we were working with, we hadn't done proper sales to keep that pipeline full. You call it the pipeline, the job pipeline, and it was really sort of empty, right? Because we were just too busy. We didn't have time to do anything else, and then everything just sort of died. So we ended up letting go pretty much everybody we had working for us. I think the machine builder at the time had some layoffs and was doing work share. And I had just decided, look, I don't want to rebuild out here. I mean, it's an hour from home. I just had a newborn. Our oldest daughter was born not too long before that. And I decided, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't continue out here. My partner at the time had lived almost an hour the other way, so it didn't make sense to rebuild, in my home location. It was just like, okay, we're just going to go off on our own, and I'm going to do my own thing, you do your own thing, and we'll just leave it at that. And that was sort of the end of that business. So I continued doing that type of work on my own. I had a few local customers, some pretty solid local customers, and I just carried on with that. But I knew the writing on the wall was there for me in manufacturing. I was getting tired of manufacturing. The control systems and programming is great, but it at times, I mean, it's just like any job. It can be very, very demanding, but there are just some crazy hours that you end up working. I mean, pulling 24, 36-hour shifts, and things are down. You can't just go home and go to sleep. I mean, something's not working. You got to get it running, whether it's your fault or not. I mean, a lot of times when I'm programming, I'm there with somebody mechanical who's also working on the machine. We've got other people, operators, and sometimes you just got to be there to make sure that the machine's running right, and if there are problems, to try and help diagnose the problems. Again, you can't just go home and go to sleep. It's like you got to stay there. So you end up just spending crazy hours on site, and I was just getting tired of it. I wanted something else. I wanted to do something else, something different, and that's sort of when I'd thought about doing something related to gaming, and I had been gaming quite a bit, and I know there obviously there are other people involved, but I'll speak from my perspective. I've been gaming for quite a while, since the PS3 came out. It was probably a few months after the release of COD 4, Modern Warfare. Started getting into COD 4 quite a bit, World at War, and at one point I just thought, I'd been doing some research and looking at ways of making gaming into some sort of business. It was something that, I love doing. It was something that I was good at, and okay, well, how can you make it into a business? It was something that I wanted. Yes, I definitely wanted it to replace what I was doing at the time. Absolutely. That going in to producing videos right from the outset was absolutely a business venture. It's, obviously it tied into something that I love doing, and I was specifically trying to find ways to make a living or try and develop a living based on gaming. And it's one of those ideal situations because I had this job in controls, or I had my own business in controls, and I still had my existing customers. I was maintaining them. I wasn't developing the business. I wasn't trying to grow it. I wasn't trying to make it bigger and hire a bunch of people. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to hire people. And that's another thing that sort of tied into why I wanted to change things. I didn't want to employ people. When I started out of school, I worked crazy hours. I worked weekends. I worked holidays. I never really... sometimes I might complain about it, but not really. It was just doing the job and trying to excel in your job and trying to get ahead. What I really found when I started employing people was that work ethic, I think, had shifted. Or maybe it was just because I had a really high work ethic. I don't know. But, some of the guys that we had employed for us, I mean, it was like, trying to twist their arms to try and get them to work any overtime or to work, later or work on a weekend or work on a holiday. It was like crazy. I mean, a lot of times I'd have to do it just because nobody else wanted to do it. It's like, well, what the hell? What's with this work ethic here? But I think that was just the way things went. And, I had one guy who was like, well, I got to talk to my wife and ask her if she got mad at me or, she's getting really upset at me. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear, oh, my wife's upset, so I can't work this weekend. You know what? Just tell me if you're going to work or not. I don't give a freak about your wife, how pissed she is at you. I'm sorry. So, I had to deal with that, and I just, no, there's no way I wanted to go back to that. So a lot of things that I didn't like that really shaped what I ended up doing. You know what? I kind of goofed here. See what I did there? I thought there was another door that I still had to open at the bottom of the stairs, and I didn't have enough points for it. I didn't even check. But I think once you open that top door, the bottom door on the stage opens also. But seriously, I thought there was another door. That's why I'm going all the way around here, back to the stage. So yeah, that's where I thought, okay, well, how can I do something in gaming? And this was well before people were making money in gaming on YouTube, other than a couple of big players. That was it. There was, I think Machinima was probably the biggest one. There might have been a couple others. So, and this was even before I considered YouTube. I mean, this was something that sort of came out of gaming. I'd started doing some research, and I ended up starting up a blog. I started up a blog. I think it still exists. I don't know if I can find where it is. I haven't been on it in a couple of years, probably. But I started up a blog, and I think I started with some Resistance 2 gameplay. I was playing a lot of Resistance 2, especially the co-op stuff in Resistance 2, which they got rid of in Resistance 3. It was epic. It was really good, the co-op stuff, the multiplayer co-op stuff in Resistance 2. But I had done a video on that, and I started writing some stuff on this blog. Just, some of the research I'd done talked about, writing what you're interested in, writing about helping people with games, etc. And that's sort of what I started to do. And this is before the whole concept of NGT came up with my then partner. So, and then that's something that we talked about. I talked about this blog and doing something in gaming, and that's when we came up with the whole concept for doing something like NGT. And it really started off with Killzone 2. Killzone 2 was the first sort of big title at the time that we looked at. I mean, World at War had been out for a few months, and we wanted to do this new game. So our concept, again, it was something that I was doing part-time. My partner was working at a full-time job, so he was doing it in the evenings. I had a lot more flexibility. I could almost work it as a full-time job and still maintain some sort of income from my controls business that I was doing on my own, and maintain an income and try and develop this business based around gaming. And we had no idea how we were going to make money. I mean, how it started was we developed the NGT website. The website's not there right now, but I got to look at some point finding the time to try and produce a revamped website. But we started with the website and we hosted everything ourselves. And our thought was, okay, well, we'll make it a subscription-based thing. People subscribe to the website and they pay like a yearly fee and they have access to everything that we produce. We'll continue this in episode 2 here. But yeah, this is not live comm. This is post commentary. I thought I'd do it a little bit differently here on Kino, and we'll see how this works out. We'll see you guys in part 2, where we'll continue.